Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Abernathy. We're back. The Optimized Dental Practice. We're taking topics in a very short format, giving you one thing to do, one thing to learn, and one thing to plan. Uh, this time, we're talking about staffing, and a little counterintuitive wise, we're looking at needs, and so at different parts of your career, you're going to need different numbers of staff, different types of staff, things like that. But if we follow up where we're talking about numbers and overhead and budgets and stuff, and we start looking at staff, I think the biggest problem I see in overhead is always, at least the one that's most out of line, is the line item for compensation or what you spend on staff. I've never seen an office that wasn't way out of line. Sometimes it's so far out of line, instead of being 25, 27%, it's 55, 67. I mean, it can get up there real quickly, especially if you're using associates and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be that way. But let's look at this as if we have a startup state of mind. Okay, we're thinking like we're starting our own practice, even if we weren't, or if we were kind of starting over again. Don't make that mistake. Okay, so here's what I'm suggesting. When we talk about staff, we hire staff only when they need them. Now, we help doctors start practices, and the doctors, especially the young doctors, will go, oh, well, I'm going to need a hygienist, an assistant, a front desk, a personal assistant, whatever they think they're going to need. But truly, when you first own an office, you have no patience. Many of you are going to face that. You're not going to have any patience, okay? So when you start up, you really only need, and I don't mean this in a demeaning way, but kind of a girl Friday or a guy Friday or someone that can do assisting and could do the front desk. Keep in mind, you're not going to be busy. You might see 2 or 3 patients a day, maybe fewer, maybe more, but it's not going to be busy. And so the whole thought process here is to not hire until you need. So one thing to do, I want you to set a line in the sand that you will not hire staff unless you can do around $20,000 per employee. Now, when I say around, I'm talking around would be $19,999 and better would be 20 to 25. Okay, around is not 14,000 per employee. If you have or have had, staff over the last 12 months, do this. Take what you spent on your staff, divide that into your collections, and tell me, what was that number? Average is 14,000. Nobody watching this video wants to be just average. And so if you start off wrong, you'll never recover. So this is the one thing to do. Go back and find out where you were. If you're just opening a practice or just starting up or starting over again, then you're going to hire one person, not 2, not 3, not 4, just one person day 1. Now, on day 3, you may need to hire another person. It may be day a month, okay? But you're not going to, until you hit around $20,000 worth of collectible production, okay? Net adjusted production, something you could collect, not gross production. Okay? You will not hire another employee until you can hit that for a few days in a row, a week in a row, whatever it takes. Now, who do you hire next? My opinion in a startup practice is always going to be another person that can help assist and do the front desk. Maybe they're stronger at the front desk, but they still could help, okay? That's an advantage to you because you're going to find not that many people calling you. There's not going to be that demand for your service, so the phone's not going to ring off the wall. But if you had 2 people there, someone definitely could answer it, could step away and answer it and serve as that position until you get up close to $40,000 worth of production. Now, I just lost half the audience because you're thinking, I only do 40 or 50,000 a month, and I've got 6 people that work for me, and you have no profit. Okay, this is an opportunity to create a new culture and a new business strategy that makes this work. Not only will people be working at the top of their game, but you're going to see more profit. You'll be able to pay those staff people more than you're paying 6 people, and you have the ability to incentivize them. Now, one thing to learn. When we look at staffing, I almost always see staff, for example, let's say we're talking about clinical staff. They always want somebody to clean the instruments and do the distasteful things that they don't want to do. Now, if you decide to only spend 25, 27% on employees, so that you're basically telling that employee, every time I collect $1, you get 25 cents, you get a quarter. And I don't care what you spend it on. You can spend it on taxes, you can spend it on healthcare, you can spend it on clothes, you can spend it on your family, you can save it, but every time we get $1, you get a quarter, okay? Now you start thinking that way, and if your staff does, because they're learning the business of dentistry, what's going to happen is that you will incentivize them to be more productive because it affects what they can make. Now, you have to be sensitive to the fact that as income goes up and profit goes up, you're willing to share that with your staff. On the one thing to plan, we mentioned this briefly. Staff, number of staff, divided into collections gives you that magic number, that goal, that benchmark that you're shooting for. I want this to be something that you track, that your staff tracks, and that it's in your staff lounge. It's available in a written form where everybody can see it to create phantom pressure that this doesn't occur. It's great when you have staff come to you and say, we need to hire whatever it is, another hygienist. And I'm going to ask why. And they're going to say, well, we can't get a new patient in within 4 to 10 days during peak demand times. And I said, okay. We're having so many new patients coming in that we can't keep up with the new patients. Okay. And we're willing to chance that if we hire them, okay, because think this through. If I hired an assistant or a hygienist, my expectation over the next 30, 60, 90 days is to increase my collections by 4 times what I pay them. Okay, that would keep you at 25%. So every time you decide to spend money on an employee, you're expecting a return of 4 to 1 or 4 times what you pay that person. And you have to include everything. Taxes, uniforms, getting education, staff meals, whatever you're spending. If you'll set that as your goal, you'll never have to look to see if you have profit. It'll follow you. It's a done deal. But you have to start right. It's almost impossible to go back and fix this after you make this error in hiring.